And to get back to the fact that this is a bar belt, I do have a shtick to my character, and I highly recommend that you pick a shtick. With me, I'm a bartender, so I've got pumps that pressurize these tanks. They displace the water by putting air in. As the water's displaced at the bottom of the tank, it's got nowhere to go, so it pushes out these hoses to this glove, which has a dispenser on it. I've got valves in here so that I can control the flow of the liquor coming out, and I also have the windshield wiper pump from a Jaguar that I rigged up on the glove so I can really pump out some stuff if I want to.
Where's the stuff?
Well, this is a younger crowd convention, so I didn't fill it this time. No free samples. But to get back to what I was saying, I tend to work with off-the-shelf materials because I want to be able to reproduce what I make. Some things are going to be one of a kind. Some things, when you make them, if you're making them for yourself, you're going to make an item that you're going to go to an antique store, find some buttons here. Your mom's going to have an old blouse or something that she doesn't want anymore that's got some good silk on it, so you're going to cut that up. You're going to find, maybe your great-grandmother's watch, and you're going to make that part of your costume. But what I do is I do a lot of mass production stuff because a lot of people like my costume and it's fun at parties, so I get requests to build other ones. So I've made sure to use off-the-rack pieces that I can easily reproduce. And that's something to think about because whenever you build something and you build it for the first time, you're probably going to have pieces that are going to break. And it's not a bad idea to use things that if they break, you can replace them. Because if you went ahead and put all the work into building a leather belt like this, and all the riveting stuff, and you've made each individual loop fit a particular item, you're going to want to be able to get replacements for those items whenever someone in the elevator backs into you and shatters one on your chest. But on other times, you're going to make things that are completely custom and only to you. Like this piece here. This is my leg holster. It fits on the bottom of this belt. All the pieces in here are things that family members have given me over the years, and I made it custom to what I had on hand. But whenever I make these to sell, I have a supplier that I've contacted. He sells me the things in uniform sizes, and I can knock out a couple of them fairly quickly with the same materials, and I have them all to spec, and that way I can use a pattern over and over again. And it's a good idea to decide which type of builder that you're going to be. Do you want to use antique materials? Do you want to use only old stuff? Or do you mind using brand new things and picking stuff from factories and doing it in bulk? And there's not a bad idea to do that. Now, getting back to the ideal of, I meant to pass this around. This is a martini shaker that I've made, and I'm going to pass this around the audience here, and you can see some of my leather work. This is a one-of-a-kind item. It's another thing that I've made that I can't mass produce, but if someone gives me a piece and says I want something for this, I can go ahead and produce it directly for it. And this is an example of individualized art. I just pass that around to you, man. Don't go ahead and take it. Yes. You can go ahead and open it up and look inside, but I prefer you not to get the martini shaker out because it's a pain in the neck to get it back in. So, back to the ideal of having a shtick.
Sign on the top.
Yeah, thank you. The ideal of having a shtick is you really want to have that character concept firm in your mind so you can build off of it. You want to, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine down in Georgia is inside of a steampunk band. He's a singer and he plays stand-up bass. Now he has a $1,200 stand-up bass. These are pretty rare instruments. A $1,200 one is an inexpensive one. He's certainly not going to modify his stand-up acoustic bass. He would be mad to do so. So we had to sit down and kind of, but that's the center of what he does. All he has whenever he's up there singing is a microphone. He's got the stand-up bass. So he can do a lot of costuming work, but he can't, make the center of what he's doing a focal point for steampunk. So we talked about what he could do. So we broke down the concept a bit. So we said, well, why are you playing a stand-up bass and steampunk? He's like, well, I figure I'm a traveling musician and we're a traveling band and we go from airship to airship, playing on them as for passengers, and that's how we go from different city to city. We pick up gigs there. I'm like, okay, so if you're on airships, let's play with that. Airships are up in the air is thinner, there's got to be a lot of reasons why that you might need to have some extra gear on. I'm like, well, how about, he had been wearing a gas mask, but he had to take it off to sing. I'm like, that's a bad idea. Leave the gas mask on. Let's build the microphone directly into the gas mask and run some tubes off the mic stand right into it so that we can say that you're getting oxygen from the gas mask because the air is thin on the airship. That way, it's got a reason for it. It's got something that you can pull from and say this is part of your shtick. So when people ask you, you've got an answer like that right off the bat. Not only that, that gives you the feeling of this is why you have to do this. Every once in a while between hand, you can take a hit of oxygen. Then we said, you know what? What if we take this a step further? What if we actually make this a functional piece that can play with your ability to sing? What if we took a tank of helium and ran it into the gas mask so that you could take a hit and then hit really high notes? And he thought that was a great idea. Then we took it a step further and we saw the other day Neil Patrick Harris was on the, what is that, Regis and Kathy Lee? He was being a fill-in host. And they had a gas on there called sulfur dioxide, which is 6 times heavier than air. So it's a bit expensive, but what it does is it drops your voice down so you sound like a Goa'uld from Stargate. So he had 2 tanks on there, and he could hit a valve and take a hit and hit a really low note, and then take another hit and hit a really high note, and play back and forth. So he had a piece of equipment now. There was a gas mask hooked to a microphone while he's playing a bass, and he could hit valves and take hits off of different types of gases and change his voice. We've taken this from a concept of, I want to look like steampunk and perform, and made it into the concept of, I'm going to make this mic stand a functional piece of equipment that does something, and the audience immediately realizes that I'm doing something with my steampunk gear that's changing my voice drastically. We haven't got the rig built yet, but I think it's going to go out really well. And that brings me to the next point. If you're going to go ahead and take the effort to come up with an ideal of magic box, power source, and output, go ahead and build it if you can. If you have something that you want to do, make it functional. Make it work. With this device, whenever I built this, I have been a party goer at a lot of conventions like Archon for years. And I've been well known for the fact that I'm a bartender. But whenever I make stuff, I tend to make it in large batches. It's kind of awkward to pull a 5-gallon Pelican water tank with cart around con, and security doesn't really like that idea. But if you are at a party con and you're wearing a backpack, steampunk stuff, and you're pouring drinks and you're having a good time at the party, you're being responsible party people, no one cares. It's inconspicuous, it's fun, and it fit my personality. And the ideal of building this came out of the want to have something to bartend with more than it did for it wanting to be steampunk. That was just a happy bonus. And whenever you have something that you like doing, I highly suggest that if that's your passion, that you bring that into your steampunk. That you bring whatever it is that you really enjoy into your steampunk. So that's the basis of it. I'm going to kind of move this over to Q&A about my equipment and anything else. I do want to go over this before I jump into Q&A. This is another example of a functional device. This was made for my girlfriend. She wanted to be a pilot, to be on, well, let me take a step back. This goes back to functional equipment. My girlfriend can't stand cigarette smoke. Can't stand it. She, one of the people that's asthmatic, just, it drives her nuts. But I like to go out to clubs. I like to go out to the Winter Mask down at the Crack Fox. I like to go out to other things. I do the steampunk socials. And occasionally I do steampunk when I go out. Sometimes I dress normal, whatever. But she can't handle the smoke at any of the bars that they're smoking. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to build you a respirator, steampunk it out, and get you an outfit so that you can go to a bar and not feel, and deal with the smoke and not feel like a loon.